Well, welcome. Welcome to this edition of Red Sea Roundup. I am the host of the day, Pam Marvin, and I am just thrilled to have Jennifer Stavinoha
Yes.
join me today in the studio. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be
Oh,
here.
I really am. It was really a Holy Spirit moment because after my last show, I was talking to Dennis about his desires and dreams for the radio station. And he's like, we're always been about the religious education for the domestic church.
Mhm.
And he wants that focus to be ever more.
Love it.
I know, me too, right? And so you came to mind.
Yay, thank
Because
you.
we've known each other for quite some time.
Yeah.
Since before you were married.
Yeah, huh?
Wow, that's
I
been
know.
a while.
Yeah, since before I was married and I had your daughters in youth ministry.
Yes.
And yeah.
So
and now I've got 4 kids.
I know. And yes, it's been a beautiful journey for me to watch you
Thanks.
just grow as a person and as a mom and as
Yeah.
a family minister. I was telling you, that's your name. You are a family
Yeah.
minister, and we're so grateful that you are.
Thank you.
Jennifer, I think of you as a pioneer. I really do
Thank
in this
you.
ministry. So give our listeners just a little background on you and how you got to be such this awesome family minister that you are today.
I'm doing my best, Pam.
Yes.
I'm doing my
Okay.
best.
Sorry. We'll keep you humble.
I'll do my best. Yeah. So, where do I even start? So I had a really amazing encounter with Christ, with Jesus in the Eucharist, when I was about 16 years old at a Steubenville Youth Conference, and encountering Jesus in this way, where I discovered, or he revealed to me really, that he's truly present in the Eucharist. That really was this catalyst to make it clear that there is nothing else that I could do in my life that would mean anything except to live for him and to do what he wants me to do and to do what he's calling me to do. And obviously at age 16, I didn't quite understand the implications of that that promise that I was making in my heart to the Lord. But, going back, like, I'm so glad I've made that promise, and I'm so glad that I've pursued him through thick and thin and through just different difficulties. But so I had this incredible encounter with Christ and giving my life to him. I ended up pursuing theology as a degree. And so I have a master's degree in theology from the Franciscan University of Steubenville. And it was through Steubenville and through that degree, just really discovering my love for communicating the faith and teaching people the faith. And I love doing things like RCIA. I love, at St. Joe's, we have something called Foundations. So I teach at the Foundations classes, and that just really ignites a fire in me. I love answering questions. I've loved, when I was in youth ministry, I've loved answering difficult questions and wrestling with why does the church teach this? Why does Jesus say that? Well, what's the difference between Catholics and Protestants here? And so, in my experience of being in youth ministry, that's really helped my present moment with adults and parents, and just remembering what it's like to minister to youth and teens and helping parents to kind of navigate.
Right. Now, you are still officially affiliated with Ablaze Ministries.
Yes.
So tell us the origins of your story with Ablaze and where they are today.
Okay, so after I graduated from Franciscan, my sister was actually one of the founders of Ablaze with Matt Rice and Alyssa Trutter, and they wanted to find a way to enrich their youth ministers. And so my sister was like, hey, my sister Jennifer works at Franciscan. She goes to Franciscan. Why don't y'all come up for a conference? And so Matt Rice brought all of Ablaze up for a conference at the one of the Steubenville Catechist conferences. And so that's where I met Matt, and he quickly recruited me to be a part of Ablaze. And that's actually how I met my husband as well. Because
that's right.
Jeremy,
Yes.
my husband, was newly hired by Ablaze. And so we met up there, and they hired me. And
Now, what was your first role?
Oh my gosh. I had so many roles at Ablaze. I was doing young adult ministry. I was doing volunteer formation. I was doing missionary formation. I did a bunch of things kind of all at once. But really where I started to hit my stride was when I was the campus minister over at the St. Joe's secondary campus.
And I want to say a profound thank you for that. My daughters really benefited, especially my daughter Annie, who said one of the retreats changed her life.
Oh,
it was beautiful.
I love it.
It was beautiful.
I remember Annie being an incoming 7th grader from 6th grade. I remember what her views of faith were then and how far she's come now. It's
so far.
Oh, the Holy Spirit's so good.
I remember her. I got it. This is just just for the good that Ablaze has done with their retreats was she gets in the car and she probably was an 8th grader at this point. I don't think she was high school. She gets in the car and I'm like, well, how was it? And she starts to kind of weep. And she says, Mom, and this is, how old are you? Not even 14, 13. Yeah. She says, well, it's kind of like that video game where you get to the next level and the doors open and he just takes you to the next level. And she said, that's what I experienced. I was like,
I love
it. That must have been 10 years ago now. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Can I tell you though? So it was such a joy to be campus minister at St. Joe's. We did have those, every youth minister has those kids that do not want to be there. They're not interested.
Sure.
Okay. So my first semester, there was one senior in particular who was not having it, was not interested, wanted nothing to do with us. And it was frustrating, but there's nothing you can do to make them love Jesus. But I've always remembered this kid in the back of my mind. Okay, so about 2 months ago, I was walking, I was at St. Joe's, I guess, walking to the water fountain or something. I happened to look at the seminarian list, and there he is staring at me from the seminarian list. And I'm like,
yep.
That cannot
I know who you're talking about. Yes.
The same
I was kind of surprised
person.
Too, right?
That cannot be the same person. And so I actually went online and did a little bit of sneaking, and it's the same person. Yeah. I'm like, how?
Right. You never
Praise
know.
the Lord.
Right. And I want to just do a sidebar on that because Jennifer, as we all grow older and have more time behind us and we look at, this prayer seemed to have made a difference, but this prayer didn't.
Oh my gosh.
God always makes good on our prayers, and just remember, my loves, we may never see it this side of heaven, right?
Oh my gosh.
But that your prayers matter.
Yes.
And they are profound. So sorry, I had to sidebar that because that's a message I need sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, especially as parents, I think. And there's actually a scripture where the Lord is saying, my word will not return to me void, right? Yes. My word will not return to me void. And every prayer matters and makes a difference. Every action, every act of love, every small little act of love makes a difference. And we have no idea what it's doing. And it may even be rejected at the moment, which was exactly my experience with this one particular kid. And I'm not prideful enough to say, well, you're welcome, church, that you're getting a new priest because of my ministry or whatever. Not at all. But I know that what we were doing was just planting seeds.
Right.
Just planting them. And the Lord is going to do with that what he's going to do with that.
Yes, just taking the yes. Yeah. Okay, so we're in Ablaze.
Yes.
You're a campus minister. And then now you meet Jeremy, y'all get married, and then your role starts to change to more of what it is today. So tell me that evolution.
So Jeremy and I get married, and we have our first daughter, Kateri. She's in the 2nd grade now. But I decided, okay, now that I'm a mom, I want to take a step back from full-time ministry and just be a stay-at-home, and be a stay-at-home mom. Which I really have felt is what the Lord is calling me to do. When I had my second, when I had Therese, that is when Ablaze kind of asked me back to work in a more part-time role, to just do a little bit of parent ministry, mostly online, to make some videos that would be put on YouTube. So I started doing that. And then COVID happens. And when COVID happened, suddenly there was this huge influx of parents, a huge need of like, oh my gosh, well, we were going to mass, we were sending our kids to RE, we were sending our kids to school, and now it's just us and our kids, and what are we going to do? And I need resources. And so then that's when Ablaze was like, okay, Jennifer, do you think you could like step up a little bit more and take on a little bit more? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So now I run Ablaze Families. It's the parent outreach ministry of Ablaze Ministries. And mostly what we have is online resources for parents to be able to lead their kids closer to Christ and to lead their kids to heaven.
Can you give us a website for that?
Yeah. So actually, you can find it on the Ablaze website, ablaze.us, and you can just go to the Ablaze Families tab. There is another link, and it's actually a little bit long. I probably need to edit this link, but it's ablazefamilies.mykajabi.com.
Yeah, what is Kajabi?
Yeah. So this kind of gets into like a lot of what we do. So we have some online parent courses, and Kajabi is the website that hosts our courses.
Oh, gotcha. I gotcha.
So we created a parent course called The Ultimate Guide to Raising a Dynamic Catholic Family. And we created an online online marriage enrichment retreat, so that parents are able to do these courses and retreats from the comfort of their own home. You don't have to find a babysitter. You can do it, as little a bit at a time as you like, or as long, you can do as much as you like at a time. And these courses are just so incredible. When we were putting together the marriage enrichment course, we were finding different experts in their fields and putting them together. And my husband and I were kind of like the guinea pigs and to test it out. And our marriage was so enriched by some of these amazing testimonies. It was just so good. So
okay, so
yes.
you're doing the online stuff, and is that kind of where you are today? Are you doing, I know I follow you on Instagram,
yes.
so every now and then I see things that come across.
Yeah, so I'm very active on Instagram, so you can follow us at Ablaze Families. So on Instagram, we do a lot of just encouragement of helping parents and helping families to know that you are the primary catechist of your child, and that shouldn't be a scary thing. That should be an exciting thing.
Yeah.
And know for a fact that the Lord has given you your children, knowing your baggage. He knows your histories. He knows the ways that you struggle. He knows your sins, and he still gave you these people to have under your care.
That's right.
And so there's not a reason to fear.
Right.
It is a mandate, but there's not a reason to be worried that we're going to mess up our kids in this big royal way or whatever, but that we're there to cultivate these tiny little souls. So it's a lot of encouragement. It's a lot of walking with.
Yes.
And then just giving parents other ways to enter into the liturgy in their own home. So something called liturgical living. That phrase has kind of become
love that.
Yeah.
And before we end the interview, I want to just pick your brain on some awesome resources that are still out there. I know there's lots of great Catholic mom resources, et cetera. We'll wrap up the show with those, just a teaser there. But I was so excited because recently I was looking at what I wanted to do for my next show, and I talked to Dennis, and he was saying that about family life, and I thought, oh, Jennifer, immediately. Then I popped on and I saw that you've written a book, my love.
Yes.
Tell me more about that.
Yes. Okay. So my book is coming out in September with Ave Maria Press. The book is called Sacred Chaos: Finding Joy and Jesus in the Messiness of Motherhood.
Oh, wait, I want to sit in that title for just a second. That's really great.
Thank you.
Really great. No, because I think that so many, I have a daughter your age who has 3 littles, and I was just there this past weekend. It was such a blessing, and you can just see, the struggle can be real too.
Yeah.
But you know what? In that struggle, and I know this is part of what you teach too, is our personal sanctification.
Yes.
I remember it well as I was going through it. If done with a surrender to God's holy will. He's doing nothing but sanctifying you,
Right.
working on your defects, etc.
Right. Okay. I want to share this with you. So a couple of years ago, I was in a group of women, and most of the women were older, so 70s and above. It was a retreat team, and we were talking about the struggle of prayer for moms to pray while they have small children. And I was kind of sharing with them, I have these 3 kids, and I'm really struggling finding time and frankly, willpower to pray. And one of the women said, and I'll never forget this, she said, when I had small children was when I felt the furthest in my life from God. And she was just like, I don't know how it's possible because you're not sleeping. You are, you're having someone need you at every moment. You can't even take care of your own basic needs. And that just broke my heart because that's not how things are supposed to be. You're not supposed to just be absent from God from this whole period of your life. But what's the trick here, right? How do you find intimacy with the Lord when you have a 10-month-old sucking on your leg, right? How do you find intimacy with the Lord when you have a 2-year-old that's following you into the bathroom? We're so lucky with our church. We have so many amazing saints that have all of these writings that can help us with our prayer, like St. Teresa of Avila and John of the Cross. But Teresa of Avila did not have a small child following her into the bathroom.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So there is such a need for just more honesty and transparency among parents that this is a struggle. Prayer is really a struggle, which is why I wrote this book.
Okay.
So this book it's a 3-week mini retreat for parents that are in the trenches, for moms that are in the trenches. And I take you from day one. First page is, Lord, I know I want to pray, but I would rather scroll my phone, but I would rather clean the kitchen, but I would rather take a nap. But here I am. Like, I want this. Help me want it. So I just take you through those phases of desire or lack of desire for prayer, through encounter or lack of encounter, and through joy and what it means to choose joy. And it's just a lot of my own experience as
so wonderful.
My own struggle in personal prayer, but that's really, truly what parents need is that connection with the Lord. And it's not going to look the same as it did when you didn't have kids. It's not going to look the same as someone who's retired. It's just different, but that doesn't mean that you're not supposed to commune with God.
Right. So true. Like carving out that 15, 20, 30 minutes, an hour for the Lord for all of us. And that's really applicable to every single one of us.
Yes.
Like how much are you carving out for the Lord right now?
And you may have to get creative with if you have a little kids who need you or multiple little kids that need you, it's not going to look like, I sit here with my Bible and my journal and my coffee. It might not look like that, but it's necessary.
Right. I can't say enough about a holy hour, even with moms and dads of littles.
Yes.
Mom and dad just take turn taking the holy hour so they can have that whole one hour.
And I cannot say enough good things about the holy hour at St. Thomas Aquinas here in College Station.
They have one for children.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it we say it's a children's holy hour, but it's really for moms. Because it's just a space where kids can just be, they can make noise. It's holy chaos. And moms can just sit and pray and not have to worry about their child making too much noise. I cannot say enough good things about that. I think every parish in the United States needs to have a holy hour like that.
Maybe we'd be thinking about that for St. Joseph here in Bryan. And I encourage you listeners in Waco to think about that too. If you have some pull with your pastor to make an hour for those moms, that's great. That's one of the first things on my list then, Jennifer, of how we can help these young families and young marrieds.
Yes.
Doesn't necessarily have to be, a family is just a husband and wife,
Right.
even before their children come along, and how we can support them.
Right.
Oh, okay. So that's a great transition to what do you believe is being done well in our communities,
Yeah.
and where are the gaps in our communities for helping young families?
Yeah. So in this particular community, in Bryan College Station, we are very fortunate to have a community of moms have gotten together with the Signal app. That has been, if you are living in Bryan College Station and you're listening to me and you are a mom and you don't know about Signal, you need to be on this, because this is how you meet other moms. This is how you find play dates. This is how you get prayer intentions. This is how moms organize things like stations, walking stations of the cross.
So what's the name of the group? Because Signal's just a platform.
It's just a platform, yes. So the Heart group is probably the one that everyone's a part of.
The TH.
So it's just a heart emoji.
Heart emoji?
Yes, it's just a heart emoji. That's like the main group.
Okay. Main Catholic moms?
Yep, the main Catholic moms group. There's a prayer intentions group. There's a play dates group. There's a stay-at-home parents group. There's a Catholic book club.
Can you find that all from the heart emoji one?
Yes.
Oh, so there's subtopics under it then.
So in the heart emoji one, in the notes, there's a spreadsheet, and it has all the links to all the Catholic groups.
No way. Okay. So how long has that been around?
Oh, maybe 3 years.
Okay.
Anytime I meet a new mom at Mass that I don't recognize, I'll be like, "Hi, are you on Signal?" And she's like, "What's that?" I'm about to change your life. Here's your community. But really what I hear most from moms about the need of what we need is just the space to get to know one another, space for our children to be themselves and to meet other friends. Just the space. So, for example, the reason the St. Thomas Aquinas Holy Hour has become so popular is it's a set aside. It's a holy hour that, there's no extra exposition needed. It's just the people that have that holy hour have generously donated their holy hour to making it. It's okay if there's, children that are walking around or talking
and what time
or chatting.
of day is that?
It's at 9 a.m.
9 a.m.
At St. Thomas Aquinas.
Mm-hmm.
So from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. You should not feel bad about bringing your small children
Once
and then
a
making
week.
noise. Yes, once a week. And then afterwards, we go to what's their version of the pack? What's it called?
The pack.
Oh, okay.
Zurich Hall.
Zurich Hall. There it is. We go to Zurich Hall, and there's snacks and coffee.
Oh.
And the moms grab their coffee, get their kids a snack. The kids run around, and moms just
visit.
And our cups are filled with each other. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful ministry. And it's weird to even say that it's a ministry, but just providing the space for moms to get to know one another, to support each other. That is how I have met so many other Catholic moms. It's how I've gotten connected to meal trains and, just ways that other people have been able to support me in my own parenting journey. I just don't know what I would do without that space to do so, to meet other women in the context of we've just been at adoration together.
Yes. Oh, that is so beautiful. So that's one thing that's being done well.
That's
another
been
thing
done
that's
very
done
well. Yes.
That you could name. If not, we'll move on to gaps.
Yeah. Catechesis of the Good Shepherd.
Oh, yes.
And the fact that it's becoming more prolific in this area is a huge, huge gift. I don't know if our pastors know what a huge gift it is to this community to invest in Catechesis of the Good Shepherd. It used to be that it was just this one little pocket happening at St. Thomas, and now it's absolutely growing and expanding. There's now St. Joe's is really hopping on that train to get Catechesis of the Good Shepherd. But I have never seen a child grow more in a catechesis environment than I have at Catechesis of the Good Shepherd. It is just so beautiful.
Let me ask you some questions for people who might be interested in our community. When are they done? When are the classes held? Is it like I don't know, like at St. Joe's, at St. Thomas Aquinas?
So, okay, so I can tell you the ones that my kids go to. So at St. Thomas Aquinas, level 1, which is for ages 3 to 5 or 3 to 6, something like that. We go to the one that's at 1:30, and then they have another one at 3:30 on Sundays.
Sundays, okay.
I think there's another one on Tuesdays. Then there's a level 2, which is for older kids, so ages 6 to 11 or 6 to 12. That one's on Wednesdays at 4:30.
6 to 12. That's really quite advanced. Okay. Wow.
And these age, not age gaps, but having larger ages within one space is actually good for kids. It's actually good for little kids to learn from older kids, and for older kids to have the opportunity to teach.
That reminds me
on purpose.
Yes, that reminds me of the classic Little House on the Prairie schoolroom. Yes, lots of benefits to that. Okay,
yes,
great.
It's on purpose. And now St. Joseph's in Bryan has started a Catechesis of the Good Shepherd, and that's at 2 on Sundays.
Okay, Waco, maybe you have some too.
Yes.
So let's see. We'll be looking into that shortly as well. Okay, that's done well. Anything else you want to say that's being done really well? I want to say a hats off to St. Joseph and Bryan about the family life groups,
home groups.
Yeah. Do you know much about them?
Okay, so I am part of a home group. I'm part of what was known as the pilot group. So it's us and I think 3 other families. And it's actually a very simple idea, is that essentially couples get together once a month at someone's house. And then the next week, just the women get together at someone's house. And then the next week, just the men get together at someone's house. And it's intentional time together. So for the couples group, we'll start time with praise and worship and intentions. Our group in particular is fairly charismatic, and so we're just very open to the Holy Spirit. It's like a beautiful Catholic way of embracing all aspects of the faith. So it's like charismatic and like quite traditional, honestly.
Sure. They are not opposed to one another.
Not at all.
People don't understand that. I mean, I have that spirit in me as well. Like I love both so much. And they're not exclusive of one another.
They can't be.
No.
So we do praise and worship and intentions, and then our group leader will share just kind of a prompt of something that we can discuss. We also, share not a meal, but some snacks and drinks and things like that.
And the kids are with you at that time?
Nope. Actually,
sometimes, yes.
Actually, this is in the evening when they're in bed.
Okay. So babysitters necessary.
Babysitters necessary. Once a week, because for couples, you're just going to that, one house or whatever. And then for the next week, it's just women. And so the men can be at home and then, switch off or whatever. So it really looks like a babysitter once a month.
Okay. Doable.
Yeah, it's doable. It's been great for us. So we discuss a topic that the group leader brings up, and a lot of times it's focused on our marriage and keeping our marriage strong. It might be a topic like communication, or a topic where, being on the same team. How can we be on the same team? Or do we have a family mission statement?
Right. I got to make a pause there, because the Lord has really revealed to me over the last 10 years that my personal mission is marriage and family life. I work with natural family planning and marriage prep and things like that. And one of the things I've heard, Jennifer, that I thought was so beautiful is there was a study done about the success of marriages, and they could tell if the couple on the way they listened to one another. So listening, so communication, yes, but that is more, it's kind of a little intangible because there's so many different kinds of personal styles.
Yeah.
But listening well is something that can be taught and can be worked on in a more hardcore way. So I just love that. Listen well to your spouse. Look them in the eye when they're speaking to you.
That's so good.
Okay, since I can't believe we're running so quickly at a time, this has been such an amazing interview, in my opinion. So where can we be better, and what can KEDC, Religious Education for the Domestic Church, due to support families in Bryan College Station in the Waco area. What just thoughts, just dreams and thoughts and so forth.
Yeah. So again, kind of reiterating what I was saying, parents really want the space. And that might look like space to bring their children to encounter the sacraments in a way that those parents are not going to feel like they're out of place. Let me give an example. For confessions in this area, unless you schedule with a priest, there is not a good time for parents to go to confession. 4 p.m. and on is witching hour for parents of small children. And I know people have to work. I do know that, obviously. But if there was some sort of way that we could have an open confessions for parents of small children, that would help so much. We do have, this community is amazing. We have had moms organize times where, someone will say on the Signal app, hey, I'm going to confession at St. Anthony's at this time. Bring your kids. After I go, I'll watch your kids and I'll have them run around, play outside while you go to confession. And that's wonderful and beautiful. And I wish that it didn't have to be individuals organizing it. Like, I wish that we could have some support from parishes.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I also do wish that we had, so just the space to be parents of small children. Another, I guess, kind of thing that we could really use is a daily mass time that works for parents of small kids.
Okay, give us times.
9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m. Those would be awesome. 5:30 and 6 p.m. again are not going to work.
15 even. That's like nap time.
Nap time and lunch. You get hangry kids. We don't want the hangry kids. Yeah. So, just access really to what it means to be Catholic, but also having these small little Catholics that need our help too. And we don't really make it friendly we don't really make our church child friendly. And at the same time, if something's not child friendly, it's not mother friendly. Right. Another thing that would be a personal preference. I know that our church is getting older demographically. We're having less and less young people and young mothers. And so that also means on a very practical level that when you pull up to any church, we see all of these parking spaces that are reserved, the handicap parking spaces, which are needed and necessary. But I also wish maybe we could have a parking space for a pregnant mom.
Yes.
Parking space.
Like at the grocery store.
Like at the grocery store. We don't need HEB to be more Catholic than our Catholic churches. Yeah. If we had a parking space for a pregnant woman, or if parking space for a pregnant woman with kids, that would just send a message that you belong here.
It seems like HEB did that years ago.
It did, yeah.
It did years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
But at the Catholic Church is what's needed.
At the churches is what's needed. Yeah.
Okay. We'll put a bug in. I'll make sure to send this to a few pastors in the area when it comes out. Okay.
I'm also part of something called the Sacred Table Coalition, it's a national conversation around parents and how to support parents raising their children in the Catholic Church. This conversation that I've been a part of is very interesting because it features lots of different voices from around the United States. They have the ears of the USCCB and bishops. These members of this group are very well-meaning and they really, really want to help parents. But as I first hopped onto the group, I discovered that they had no idea what parents wanted. They had no idea at all what parents wanted or needed. So another thing that we could use is just voices of moms that are in the trenches, moms that are there, and to know that your voice matters and that there are people who have the ears of bishops and dioceses around the United States that want to keep families flourishing or help families to flourish, but they just have no idea of what they have no idea what families need. So to use your voice.
Yeah.
And know that, you're an expert in your own family.
And I got to ask you before we start to wrap up, a few more minutes before we do that, but about the marriage aspect.
Yeah.
We're talking a lot about parenting, so vital. But in these day and times, in this modern world, the support of families, because I remember it was more difficult because you're completely and utterly distracted from your actual marriage and relationship because of the children, which is a normal thing that happens. But being able to continue date nights or something along those lines that supports the marriage. I don't know. What are some of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh man, it is so hard to keep your eye on marriage when you have a bunch of
It's so important.
Kids all around you, or you're taking kids to, soccer practice or piano or whatever. Yeah, it is so difficult, but making it a priority. And if it helps in your mind to think I'm doing this for my kids, then have that thought. Think like my marriage is my child's first marriage prep. The first time they're going to see what a marriage looks like is through my own marriage. And I do need to make this a priority. I do need to make my relationship with my spouse a priority. Something that my husband does quite a bit is he'll refer to me in front of our children. He refers to me as his wife. Like, this is my wife. And I love that. He really does prioritize our relationship towards our children.
I can see that being a little more natural for the dads, the husbands, right? I can see that because his moms were in the trenches, like you said.
And it is hard, especially for moms, because we just, or at least I do, I get caught up in my head so much. And having your spouse truly be your teammate and investing in your team helps the whole game run smoothly.
Okay, so I'm going to put a bug in your ear of something I come across a lot in the course of my job, working with engaged couples. So I work with them as they're engaged and then they're married, and I'm still working with them. And oftentimes the topic of prayer with your partner, your spouse, comes up. And I find that they're like, we have no idea what that's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of give, a few things from my life. But I would love to see you take that on your platform and really talk about maybe what it looks like for you and Jeremy. And, or maybe what it could, there's some different ways that it could look for you and your spouse to pray together. I just find that, especially as a newly married couple, it could take up to a year for them to find their groove. And they're all just trying to discover it on their own. So anything that you could do to be helpful in that area, I would love to see that.
So we have in our online marriage retreat called Marriage on Mission, we have exactly that. Each section, after each session, we have a prayer challenge, and couples can choose from 3 different types of prayer. And then as you continue the retreat, the prayer gets increasingly more vulnerable. So the first time that the first session, maybe it's pray Hail Mary together or pray in Our Father together. And as you continue going, you move to things like praying over one another or, things that require you to step out of your comfort zone a little bit more. So yes, we have that. We have that in a course.
Is that a free course? Is that it cost? And it basically at the end of the day, you can just go to ablaze.us families and probably find a link to it, right?
Yes, you can find a link to it. Yes. So the link is ablazefamilies.mykajabi.com, and it has both of our online courses that are there available. I don't remember what the cost is. You can go online and look it up.
You can figure that out.
Yeah. I don't remember. I'm sorry.
No. It sounds like a good anniversary present from grandmas and grandpas to their children.
Yes, absolutely. And we have some really amazing speakers, some really amazing, and some breakout sessions that are not normally talked about. So things like if you're a couple that's struggling with infertility, we have a session for you. If you're a
Nice.
blended family, we have a session for you. So
That's so
just trying to
wonderful.
find little things.
I'm so glad you told me this. I wasn't even aware.
Yeah.
And I'm like a big fan of
Yes.
Ablaze. And I
Yes.
didn't even know this is happening. Okay, I've got about a minute, but can you give us some other online support, maybe social media people that you love and would
Yeah.
recommend people following to get more ideas about living an authentic Catholic life in about a
Yeah.
minute?
Yes. Okay. So, of course, follow at Ablaze Families. Also, Catholic Home, HOM, is Dr. Popchak's platform, and that is just a wealth of knowledge and resources. I absolutely love the Popchaks and their
Yes.
their ministry. On Instagram, oh my gosh, there are so many. I don't even know how I could say it all in a minute, but I love Finding Philothea. Finding is just finding.
Okay.
And then Philothea, Philothea.
Okay, will you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Will you talk about this on your platform today?
Yeah.
And then in the comments, will you suggest that?
Let's
Say
do it.
I was on the spot, but here's some that if you'd like to
Yes.
follow. I would love that
Yes.
very much.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so what's next for Jennifer?
Yeah. So
What's on the horizon?
I'm waiting for my book to come out.
Yes.
It comes out in September
Ave Maria Press.
from
okay.
Ave Maria Press. So that's
wonderful.
That's kind of the big thing coming up.
Yeah. Oh, Jennifer, the time has gone by too quickly. Will you come back in about 6 months?
Would love
and let's
it.
just get to talk some more in those other areas we haven't yet.
Yeah, would love it.
Oh, I'd love that too. Well, thank you so much for joining Jennifer and myself today. We love families here at KEDC. We want your family to be enriched through Catholic radio. We are religious education for the domestic church, and we value families. It is the cornerstone and the bedrock of our civilization and our Catholic communities. So in the future, if you have any needs, wants, or desires for families, let us know. Reach out at KEDC. Thank you for joining us today. And until next time, go and love your neighbor.